was watching a movie yesterday, and it was about this woman who was like 34 years old, and she was just constantly going to baby showers and going to weddings, and she was the one who had been single. Like, she was always the single one, and she would get tons of invitations to baby showers and weddings, and it didn't bother her. But then her family and other people started talking about their family and starting a family, and people were just continuously getting into another stage of life where they're getting out of singlehood into marriage or into having children, etc. And she was 34, and she had went to the doctor to talk about, and she really didn't have anybody who she could have a child with that would be a long-term relationship or a husband or whatever. They told her we're gonna have to freeze your eggs, or you may have issues getting pregnant if you wait any longer. And so she felt like she had to go freeze her eggs because she didn't have anybody that she considered to be worthwhile to be with, not for someone who she could have a healthy relationship. And all through this movie, and I'm sorry, this person is driving me crazy up here. All through the movie, she kept reaching out to old flings and old boyfriends and old relationships of people she used to date, and all these dudes were nothing but players, users, abusers, nut jobs, you name it. And there was only one dude out of all of them that did want to marry her when she was younger and did want a family. But at the time that he wanted that, she wasn't ready for that. And so she ended up letting him go. And then a few years later, as you age and you get into another stage of life, sometimes things that you didn't want, you do want. Or sometimes the things that you did want, it changes based off of the different years of your life, what you do and do not want. That changes. So she starts to want a long-term relationship, and she starts to want to be able to raise a family, and she's made to feel so bad. And really, in the movie, she's being stupid. She's being irresponsible, going out and partying, and just being like as if she's 22 and she's like 34 years old. I mean, you got to grow up at some point. I mean, you can't be 22 years old the rest of your life and, party like you're 18 and just act a fool. And that's what she does have this movie. But towards the end, like as she's starting to freeze her eggs and starting to realize that she needs to become more responsible, etc., she starts to really desire wanting to get married and wanting a baby and wanting it with somebody who is healthy for her. And she ends up reminiscing on old relationships, like a few old relationships where the men were reliable, they were worth being with, but they had already gotten married and they were having a baby. And throughout the movie, she just feels worse and worse and worse about herself because she missed out. She feels like she missed out, and like everybody else is going to have this family life and she's not going to have it. And it's not about a woman at 34 years old being stupid and then finally realizing she wants a family and a husband. It's about how the world will make you feel that if you are at a certain age and you don't have something by that age, they'll make you feel bad about yourself. They'll make you feel as if you're inadequate as you are, and as if there's something wrong with you because you haven't accomplished something in a particular age, whether that's having a family and getting married, whether that's having a certain amount of money, whatever it is that you expected yourself to have, as well as other people expect you to have it at a specific age. And specifically, they do this to women, that if they're at a specific age and they don't have a family at a specific age, and they don't get married by a specific age, society has a way of shaming women into feeling bad about themselves for being single. And I don't mean like they're running around and being immature. Like, there's plenty of eligible women who are wife material, but maybe they just have not had the luck in meeting a man that is right for them. And they haven't been able to find somebody who they could see themselves settling down with and having a family, and then they'll end up feeling bad about themselves because they haven't accomplished a marriage or a child by a particular age. And we live in a society where people just don't want to commit anyway, but you could apply that to a job position. Maybe you thought by this age you'd have a certain amount of money, or you'd have a certain job, or you would have accomplished something, by a certain timeline, and you didn't. And it will you'll end up making yourself feel bad because you didn't get there by that particular timeline. It's not to say that you won't ever have it, but the world will make you feel like you're in a rush to get it. You're in a rush to get it. You're in a rush to get it. And I can speak from experience. I've had to mourn how I thought my life was going to turn out. I've had to mourn my expectations of when things were going to happen, how they were going to happen, who they were going to happen with. I had to mourn that expectation. And that is a hard pill to swallow, especially when you had a particular vision for the way things would go, and nothing at all goes the way that you thought it was going to go, when it was going to go, who it was going to go with. Unfortunately, that's the way life is, and everybody wants to make it seem as if, everybody else can have something other than you, but that's not true. A lot of people, even if they post that they're so happy, I question that, because a lot of people who pretend to have something you don't, they don't have anything that you don't have. They're not more happy. They're not more fulfilled. Everybody has their own screwed up mess that they got to figure out in life. And nobody is happy all the time. But don't let people make you feel inadequate and make you feel as if something will never come to pass, such as getting married, having a family, having a certain amount of money, whatever goal that you're trying to accomplish. Do not let people make you feel as if you will not get there because of your age, because of your experience, because of your lack of education, because of whatever it is that people try to make you feel as if you're not enough of something in order to have something. You're worthy of a marriage if that's what you want. You're worthy of a baby if that's what you want. You're worthy of the money that you're trying to obtain if that's what you want. You're worthy of whatever it is that you are trying to obtain. But people are such buttholes that they will sit there and try to make others feel inadequate and feel inferior and feel a certain type of way because they don't have something within a certain timeline, or they're a certain age, or they're a certain weight. They want to make you feel inadequate in any way that they possibly can in order to get you to give up whatever it is that you're trying to obtain. I've had to reflect on my own life and say to myself, this is what my ego wants, but right now, this is what I need. And what I mean is, there's things that I really want, and it's coming from the ego based off of the timing that I want it, who I want it with, etc. But life doesn't work out that way. People have so much free will that people that you thought were going to be there, or people that you thought you were going to have something with, they're not there because they chose to be selfish. They chose to go a different path. They chose something else, regardless of what the reason is. And so because you have so much free will, that will mess up sometimes what you can accomplish, because people are in charge of certain things. You have to interact with people in the world, and unfortunately when you're dealing with people, unless they're on the same page, which most of the time they're not. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whatever it is, friendship, whatever. And you'll start to feel as you get a certain age that, damn, if I haven't got it by now, I guess I'm not going to get it. But that's not true. Sometimes other people get things later in life than they thought they were going to get. And I'm one of those people. And I still believe that what I want in life, I'm still going to get. It's just not going to be in the time that I thought it was going to be in. It's not going to be with the people I thought it was going to be with. It's not going to be in the place that I thought it was going to be in. It's going to be in its own time when it's time to happen. Do not let other people and their accomplishments and their age make you feel out of alignment and out of sync with what it is that you're wanting. You can still have it, but don't attach what you want to a timeline or a specific person. Because a lot of times it's not going to be in the timeline that you want it to be in. It's not going to be at the age you want it to be at, and it's not going to be with the person you thought it was going to be with. If whatever it is that you're wanting involves another person. It's just not. Unfortunately, there's so much that we don't have control over. But just because it happened for someone else at a specific age or timeline or whatever, does not mean that it will not happen for you. Does not mean that you will not get the desires of your heart. Does not mean you will not meet your goals. You just may not meet it in the timeline that you put yourself on. It wasn't ever supposed to happen in that timeline. It wasn't ever supposed to happen with the person you thought it was supposed to happen with. It wasn't ever supposed to happen in the place you thought. It wasn't ever supposed to happen in this little box of an expectation you had. And you have to grieve that and allow whatever it is that's supposed to come to you at the time it's supposed to come to you, and know that your time is going to come. Sometimes it feels like everybody else's time is going to come other than yours, and that will make you feel as if your time will never come. Like your moment, your celebration will never come. But that's furthest from the truth, because some people who get things too early squander it. Some people who get married too young, they end up getting married too young, and then because of their inexperience and their immaturity and their selfishness and their lack of understanding of what it takes to making marriage work, they end up ruining it. But had they had it later, they might have had a successful marriage. Same thing with money. Sometimes it's not always a good thing to have things that come with large responsibilities at a young age, because you are more likely to squander it, to waste it, to screw it up. If you think about the story in the Bible about the prodigal son and how he demands his portion of whatever his father was going to give him. And what does he do? He takes it and he squanders it on whores, on, I don't know what all he spent the money on, but he took his father's money of his part of the inheritance before his father passed away, demanded it before his father passed away, took it, went off, wasted all of it, had nothing to his name, and ended up feeding pigs and eating the stuff that they fed the pigs with, which was not suitable for a human being to even be eating. And he ended up having to go back to his father's house, and he was lucky because his father was forgiving and did not care about what his son had squandered away. He just wanted him to come home and get away from that life that he was living, and he didn't care about all the things that he had squandered. See, that's a prime example, is that the world will make you feel like if you're, you've got all these people, and it's great when somebody who's young can accomplish something when they're young, but if you wait till you're older and you have some experience under your belt and you get something later in life, even though maybe you would have desired it earlier in life, you are less likely to screw it up. You are less likely to squander it because you understand the worth of something. You understand the worth of the responsibility that you're going to have to take on, and you're less likely to screw it up, squander it, ruin it, because you have experience now. You have age on you, which comes with experience, which comes with wisdom, and you're less likely to do things that you would have done 10 years prior had you got it 10 years prior. So the moral of the story is, don't let your age or a certain timeline or a certain person that something didn't happen with allow you to give up on having something, or give up on the idea and start thinking that you will never have something. It just wasn't supposed to happen in the time frame that you thought it was supposed to. It wasn't supposed to happen with the person you thought it was supposed to, or the place, or whatever. It just wasn't supposed to happen the way you thought it did. But it is going to happen in its own way. You're just not going to be able to control every aspect of it. It's just going to happen when it happens, with whoever it happens, whenever it happens. And do not let society make you feel inadequate and insecure and worthless just because something hasn't happened by now. Because people will make you feel worse about yourself than ever necessary. So many people are all about making you feel bad, but if somebody was making them feel just as bad, or they had 10 times the people on them making them feel inadequate, making them feel a certain type of way, they couldn't handle it. So at least you have a backbone. At least you're strong and you're wise by now when you're older. And when you get whatever it is that you're supposed to get, that you're desiring, and the goal that you're wanting to meet, at least you won't screw it up. Like people who are too young to have certain things because they don't have the wisdom, they don't have the experience yet, and they don't get it. They're very immature. So I'd rather have something older in my age, now that I know things and now that I've had to go through things, than I would having it when I was 20-something, because I probably would have messed it all up. With as immature and unexperienced that I was, I'd rather have it in my older age, having the experience now, than I would to be too young and stupid and squander things that I'm wanting to manifest. So just remember, not everybody who gets things early in life knows what to do with it, because the more responsibility that you have, the smarter you have to be, and the more experience you need in order to not mess it up.